Afternoon, welcome back to the show. 12:50 is the time. I'm Julia Hartley-Brewer. Let's talk right now about it. So it's an absolutely horrific story, but we need to talk about this stuff because we can't just pretend this stuff isn't happening. And this is 1,000 suspected paedophiles who are being arrested every single month. This is according to the National Crime Agency. And a lot of what they're doing and what they're putting out online and what they're seeing is in plain sight, on the dark web. Let's talk about this with policing, crime and justice commentator Danny Shaw, who joins us. Good afternoon to you, Danny.
Afternoon, Julia.
These stories are always the stories, let's face it, especially once you're a parent, you find yourself going, no, I don't want to know, turn the page, turn the radio off. But we need to talk about this because these are people who are basically, they're sort of normalising what they're looking at and what they're sexually excited by basically constantly being in contact with other like-minded abusers. And the stuff these people are seeing is absolutely horrific.
It's horrendous, isn't it, Julia? And the figures released by the National Crime Agency are horrifying, and they reveal the scale of this. This isn't just a few isolated cases. This is taking place every single week. 20 million reports worldwide were received from tech companies online about suspected child sexual exploitation. That has then filtered down to the National Crime Agency and police across the UK, with 1,000 suspects being arrested each month and 1,200 children being safeguarded each month. Just think of that, every single month. So today there will be doors going in, there will be children that will be taken into social services, people arrested in custody, accused of these offences, some of which are horrific. There are cases where people are paying online £20 to watch live streams of children being sexually abused, in another country.
It's just extraordinary.
In the most awful ways. There are whole networks, they're called networks, online communities that share details and information of sexual abuse, kind of work together to
often,
try
like
and make this happen.
Your entry ticket to the group is you have to produce some abuse that you've done and provide something. So it's almost like an exchange system. It is so repulsive, and it is the stuff that makes, I winced when you were talking because just the idea of it. But it is happening. It's happening on a grand scale. It's happening more and more. And there's this real concern. While some people were saying, well, if people are looking stuff on the internet, well, it's not happening to actual real children. On the contrary, it creates a market for the abuse of real children, either contacted online or trafficked, or people's own children or own stepchildren, or we've seen horrible cases in nurseries and goodness knows what lately. But there's also an element of the AI that people are saying, but okay, if someone gets their kicks in this disgusting, revolting way, at least if it's AI, it's not real. But on the contrary, again, it's fueling this, and there's so much evidence that the more people who have some tendency towards this are seeing this stuff, the more it is fueling it and making the problem worse. So we are seeing an explosion in these kinds of crimes.
Yeah, there is a link between online offending and real life abuse.
Yeah.
As you say, quite rightly, images of children who are being abused, that is a real child that's been abused somewhere in the world. Yeah. And also there's the potential that individual that's watching that might want to meet a child to sexually abuse them, or is sexually abusing their own children or children that they know. So you can't just draw a line and say, that's okay, this isn't.
But especially that it would appear, a lot of this stuff, it's not on the dark web, it's not on sort of things that I wouldn't have a clue how to get on, it's not just over there, you can't see it. Some of this is happening on major social media accounts.
Yeah, and it's really up to the technology companies to do more. Clearly they are reporting a lot of this abuse to law enforcement, so they're not doing nothing, but there is a lot more they can do in terms of technology and in terms of complying with the Online Safety Act. And the real worry, as I think you said initially, is that this isn't on the dark web, this is on social media platforms, this is on what's called the clear web. So it's almost like what's happened in recent years is, what used to be sort of harder to find and, on the dark web has now become easier to access. That's what's really, really worrying for me about this, is that the problem seems to be getting worse rather than better.
And of course, an awful lot of people who view this stuff don't go to prison. They don't get any time behind bars, and the message is going out that, it's just becoming much more normalised. That's the real worry.
I mean, there are some stiff sentences handed out to the worst offenders. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But for someone who's viewing indecent images of children, or perhaps has some indecent images of children on their computer, it's a first offence, they probably will get a suspended sentence.
Well, like Hugh Edwards, of course.
That's the reality. Like Hugh Edwards, that's not out of line with other people of a similar type. Now, if you want to see tougher sentences, then you're going to have to create more prison places.
Yep, absolutely. Tax me more
money
today, build those prisons, no problem.
But, you know, I would argue that actually, you know, what we need to be doing is probably going after these people earlier on.
Yeah,
and, you know, trying to understand, I know we don't want to understand what's doing it, but what's driving it, and trying to do something as well as having a tough punitive regime.
No, I'm absolutely with you on both of those. Danny Short, really appreciate you joining us. Thank you very much indeed. Claire Pistol, I mean, hey, even talking about these things, I'm worrying that people, turn the radio off. No, we need to talk about it. It's happening.
It is, and it's horrendous, and I shuddered when Danny was saying that, but we can't look away. We need to be able to address this issue, and there's going to be some uncomfortable conversations in some households, and rightly so.
Yeah, and by the way, it's going to be people you know.
Yeah.
I know, I've had, you know, I know two colleagues, former colleagues in newspapers, and a friend's husband who have actually served prison time for this. I mean, you know, it's happening in plain sight. It's not men in dirty raincoats living, you know.
No, it's not.
It is really, it's very normal, average people. You probably work with people who are looking at this. This has become normalised. It's terrifying. Just to let you know, by the way, Keir Starmer has said in a first public statement regarding that local election, latest U-turn on those May local elections now going ahead instead of being cancelled in 30 different councils, that the decision to postpone dozens of May's council elections had been locally led. Yeah, but the government, of course, gave them permission to do it, and apparently lent on quite a few Labour councils, and defended the government's U-turn on the plan, saying the government followed further legal advice. I mean, tell us another porky, why don't you, mate?
Is it April the 1st? Are we on joke central?
Does he realise that no one believes a word he says?
I think he believes it, so he just assumes that we all will, and we're all just laughing and pointing in the background. Unbelievable.
I think we're laughing and pointing in the foreground now as well.
Yeah,
Absolute codswallop Prime Minister. We don't believe a word you say. Rubbish.